We're live. Welcome back to Pros and Cons. I'm A.K. Bog, and I've got the Captain, 1701, with me tonight. We both just watched Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 2, Disengage, and we're here to kind of share our thoughts as longtime Star Trek fans. We just kind of jumped into it last time. I don't know. Let's just get right into the episode. I can figure out the rest later on, right? Yeah?
Totally.
You want to do any intro welcome stuff, or are you ready to rock?
Nope. 1701 checking in, I guess. Ready to psyched to talk about this episode because I actually kind of thought this episode was a banger.
I liked it a lot. And, I thought, let's, real quick, because you just mentioned it when we were starting up, the Captain runs several channels, including Everything Has History, which is getting a lot of new subscribers. Make sure you check it out. It's got really awesome history content. He also runs the Carbon County Museum YouTube channel, so we'll put links to both of those in there. And then I've got, in addition to A.K. Bog on YouTube, I also, what else am I running? I'm helping out my buddy Hi-Fi Music, so we've got links to his music videos in the description below, if you like rap. And I also operate the Colorado Railroad Museum's YouTube channel primarily, so make sure you drop them a sub. Let's get into it.
Hi-Fi's dropping bars, yo.
I got 3 more songs coming out in the next 10 days. So,
well, we're not here. As much as I love Hi-Fi Music, we're here to talk Trek.
Yeah, we just had to get all that out of the way. Let's just get into it, dude. Because, like you, I actually really enjoyed the episode. I did not take notes down. Sorry. Did you take any notes? Let's just do this freeform.
I started, and then I was like, I'm just going to kind of sit back and watch this one.
My first impression was kind of what we thought might happen. Shaw started off like a real jerk this episode. He ended up doing pretty good for himself by the end. He's kind of a crotchety old jerk. But, he's trying to follow his orders and everything and keep his crew safe. And when it comes down to it, he did the right thing. He intervened and shot in there at the last second, broke up the tractor beam, and he doesn't want to be there, but, he's making the best of it.
But I've been hearing, like, a lot of criticisms and stuff about he's just a meanie head and, like, he needs to respect Picard and Riker and I'm like, no. I mean, if you look at it from his perspective,
they're putting him in a really bad spot, and they were like, "Oh, I know, we're just going to come." Picard. The truth is, they should have done Picard's thing, which is, we need to find a ship. They should be out there on their own. They shouldn't be out there dragging a Starfleet vessel into some cockamamie rescue mission.
They even dropped like the whole "do you know who I am" kind of routine. And he wasn't having it. And, like, I kind of respect that. Because a lot of times in Star Trek, you see where an old character will come back and then whoever's in charge has to, like, step aside and, like, revere the legend. You saw that in Star Trek Generations when the captain of the Enterprise B steps aside and lets Kirk take over and doesn't know what he's doing. I feel like this guy, I think he's very confident in himself and he knows what he can do as a captain, and he's not willing to put up with it, and he's not willing to hand over command over his ship to, like, 2 old guys.
Who are these guys?
He might respect their status as like Starfleet legends, but he's not going to, like, bow to them at every turn and be like, "Hey, I'm just going to hand over my ship to you because you're Captain Picard." Like, totally respect his decisions these last 2 episodes.
Yeah, like, there's been a couple of times where the barbs were a little sharper than it seemed, he was wrote to be super villainy and make you not like him. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if you're, like, looking at it from, like, this, hey, I think we all know, if we're watching this right now, we're all captains, right? You and I
Yeah.
talked about it a
Well,
long time ago. Why are you the captain? I'm the captain. We're not captain and commander like on Trek yards. Because I ain't nobody's commander. I'm a captain, buddy. And at the end of the day, aren't we all captains of our own ship? Shaw's a captain of his ship. Who's this guy who's coming onto his ship and like rocking the boat and putting his crew in danger? And he's not wrong. It's not really. It doesn't make sense for them to sacrifice 500 people to save one criminal that they didn't know was this important person's kid until just now. So we didn't mention it. It says in the title, spoilers, by the way. We were wondering, we were texting, who is Jack Crusher? Why would she name her son with Picard Jack Crusher? That doesn't... Is she really mad at Picard? Like, I guess their experience together must have been really terrible or something for her to like cut ties, disappear, and like never speak to anybody again. Let them know that this whole thing. I'm very disappointed in Beverly Crusher so far. I think.
Me too. And like, I'm still baffled at this whole storyline. I mean, I just don't. I know that at some point they're going to explain it, and I know they will, but just having seen these first 2 episodes, I don't understand why this whole like weird. Hold on.
It doesn't feel like the Next Generation to me, dude. Like the crew on the Next Generation, I feel like they wouldn't be in this situation because they probably would have communicated. Like, I liked the episode. It had some good Star Trek stuff. I was enjoying it. I like the graphics. I like the action. I like seeing a lot of the characters. I still hate Rafi. She's the absolute most worst.
We'll get into that.
I was going to say, I've got so much to say, so let me know when you want to talk that. But, like, at the end of the day, Riker was feeling pretty good this episode. I was jiving with Riker. I can even deal with Picard. I like that the enemy chick called him out as a soulless automaton. She apparently has some high-level intel because she has access to Shaw's psych profile, which is weird.
Which they played her off as just some like random bounty hunter. She is not some random bounty hunter. I actually am like, I really like this villain. I think she's awesome, by the way.
I was gonna say, I didn't really like her in the previews. I was like, I don't really like it. Just a person with a weird scar. I liked her scenes. I thought she was good. And I mentioned to you when we were getting ready, they brought back smoking in Star Trek again. Huzzah, we had Rios puffing cigars on the bridge of the Starfleet ship, which is insane. That's insane. That just doesn't make any sense at all. That's not right. But evil villain lighting it up on her ship. Whatever. I liked it. I liked the atmosphere. I like her ship design.
I liked her a lot. You know what's weird? I don't know if this means anything, but it's got this weird Starfleet ship look to it. Because it's got that
secondary hole with the deflector dish where everything kind of sprouts out from.
Exactly.
It's cool.
I don't know if that's anything. I could just be grasping at straws, but I've noticed that. I think she's super menacing, and I liked her speech when you first kind of run into her, and then I liked her speech when she contacts him with like a minute left. I think I thought she owned.
Good casting, excellent casting. I like her, and I like the character more than I thought I would.
I want to see who she is, though.
I'm curious.
Definitely a backstory there. I didn't catch the name of her ship because she was talking about how it was like a bird that like pecked you to death.
It's some kind of earth bird. It's screet. I don't know, some screet or something like that. I made note of it when she mentioned it, and I was like, I've never heard of that bird.
It makes sense. It makes sense, like with all of her little henchmen or whatever of those bird masks.
Well, and I'm curious to see too, because I'm pretty sure she's human. She makes reference to soul.
Human,
to the soul system.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're gonna see now. Okay. random shifting of gears here. Do you want to get into Rafi stuff?
Oh God.
Well, here, because I want to give you a huge props, because we were in our video last week. You mentioned that you had an idea of who Rafi's contact was, and I said I had no idea, and you said Worf. And here's the thing:
it had to be.
I've been watching other reviews this week of the first episode, and several other people, including like Trekyards, I think, were like trying to figure out who the contact might be, and no one had any guesses or wrong guesses. And you were the only one that I know of that I've seen so far that picked Worf.
No.
And as soon as you said it, it clicked for me, because we saw him fighting Rafi on Drug Planet in the trailers and stuff. But for you
Drug
said it was
Planet.
when he I don't know what else to call it.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's just smoky everywhere and orange, and everyone's like a druggie. They're all like shambling around and doing drugs. I just call it Drug
I'm waiting
Planet.
for
Orion.
Anakin to show up and I'm waiting for someone to show up and look for like death sticks or something.
Right. Well,
Like
that's
from Coruscant.
eye spray, like hallucinogenic eye spray.
Yeah, what the hell?
I don't know, whatever.
But
You were totally right. You had that, because you said what was your clue?
When her message, when she was talking to that AI, whatever.
It's
I don't
obvious
know,
now, but yeah, I didn't pick up on it
said, like,
originally.
the line was something like, "You need to harness your inner warrior."
Or you
And
are
I'm
a
like,
warrior.
That is exactly.
Yeah.
That is like a line for line something that Worf would say, and I'm like, "Warrior, Worf, duh." He's
Dude,
like,
you texted
venomous
me, and
dude.
I was like, "You're right. That makes so much
Duh.
sense." So I wanted to start by giving you props, because you got that right when I didn't. When I don't think anyone else did.
Because
So
it would
congrats.
be, I mean, if you think about it, it would be a logical step, disregarding what happened in Deep Space Nine, because he became the ambassador or whatever, but he could have gone back to Starfleet. He was always more deeply involved in security than command. Remember, he didn't really want to be in
he could
command
still
with
be.
the Deep
It's
Space
command. It's a command level. In
Right,
security.
but I think
so. We'll see with Worf how he got there. The fact is, they always write him around weird. So who really cares? I want to talk about his intro.
Oh my god!
Well, of course, we knew who it was as soon as the blade, and
Right.
you and I knew, because you predicted it, and we were expecting him to show up. As soon as he was like, disengage, and she's like, I'm not gonna. I was like, we're gonna see Worf this episode, and of course, good violence, and hey, he chopped that Ferengi's head off. I was Now I was a little surprised, because from the previews where he's like, I prefer the path of peace. Now I was expecting to get a neutered Worf. He wasn't very neutered.
Nope.
He chopped that gangster Ferengi's
He
face
killed
right
like
off.
3 guys in like 10 seconds. So I love, and then like the great thing about Worf in this scene is, it's just I cheered. Like, I cheered. Didn't you cheer?
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, it's Worf. Like, you knew it was
I was
going to
like,
happen.
yeah. Now the sad thing is, I feel like we're gonna get a lot of Rafi paired with Worf this season, which is unfortunate.
Which
But if I have
Worf,
to,
like,
if I have to
down.
watch Rafi, at least I get Worf. I get Michael Dorn.
I mean, it's like one of the best Star Trek characters of all time paired with the worst Star Trek character of all time. So maybe the median
They bounce
is
out.
pretty good.
She is the worst.
Like,
I love that her husband was like, I'll give you a good word for our son, or the gangster. You gotta choose. And she just puts her. He's like, yeah, I know you're a scumbag. He's a scumbag too, obviously. Why are you? She's trying to do good, and but whatever.
I feel like they could have done this entire sequence without Raffi.
Oh yeah, we could just have Worf or something.
No joke.
I feel like this is totally disconnected, so it's obviously going to have to connect at some point. You know what I mean? Like,
I just don't.
I don't get why we would have two totally, an A plot and a B plot that aren't associated. So at some point,
They're going to come.
they have to come
'Cause she's
together.
got-
Well, here's the
it has to
thing.
come-
Because now they're doing this whole rescue thing, and now they are putting the entire crew at risk for Picard's son. If any crew member dies, it's automatically on them rescuing Picard's son. So it's like a really shitty thing that they can't really sustain, and they can't really justify sacrificing even really a lowly cadet to save Picard's criminal son. So at this point, for them to really have any kind of justification for damage to the ship or attacks, and we've seen ship fights in the trailers and stuff, I think a lot of what we've seen is from these first two episodes, because one of the big ship ones was when they threw the small ship into the big ship, That's been used in a lot of the trailers. So I think a lot of what we've seen in trailers are just from the first two episodes, so hopefully there's some surprises.
Well, I kind of want to mention something about that whole sequence, kind of how it will bring back the Worf and Raffi angle, because, she's been investigating this super weapons, going on with the dematerialized the ship or the recruiting center and then dropped it in the center of the city or whatever.
Which when they were I wanted to state 117 casualties is stupid. There should have been way more. That was a giant building. Anyway, sorry.
No joke. And then it dropped it in the middle of the city, like
there were 117 cars right there.
But regardless of that stupid thing, my point is when the villain, and I can't recall her name at the moment. I feel like an idiot. But remember when she's like, scan my ship, blah, blah, blah. They were like naming off all of these crazy weapons that no one had heard of. And then some of them were like, she has to be involved in this somehow.
Well, I wanted to say it was nice to actually have different armaments instead of just, they've got quantum torpedoes or photon torpedoes or trilithium torpedoes. It was nice to see that other ships have other armaments and that can be a different level of threat just by having like more powerful weapons instead of just a bigger ship, because you don't really see that too much in Star Trek. So I actually thought that was a nice little detail as well. I liked them counting down all these weird ones. I thought the crew sold it as like all the shots of like the crew getting more and more nervous and everything. So far I like the bridge crew. They kind of like seemed like they wanted to like be like, Shaw, you're a dick, let's go with 7, but they but they didn't, and everything, but they were kind of a little bit like, hey, let's do what's right. I'm interested to see more of the I would actually like to see more of the Starfleet dynamics, just because I'm, a Federation guy. But
I mean, he's got the Jellicoe gravitas kind of vibes. Like I think that he's got the we're at I run the ship how I want to, and if you don't like it, too bad.
I think that they had those two. There's like 2 or 3 times. I think really specifically 2 times that he was written like just these 2 little lines that made him really kind of seem like a petty asshole. And if it weren't for like those 2 lines, he would be like a pretty like straight shooting like legit Starfleet captain.
I agree. I
like him. I like Shaw. I'm a Shaw fan.
We're kind of back to the Shaw stuff.
I like Shaw so far. I think he's been the most interesting new character that we've had in Picard in a long time. I'm sorry, but that's
since ever. No, this is. I mentioned this when I was watching it, and I was to Mrs. 1701. I was like, the only reason I feel like they're getting away with a good season this season so far. I'm not gonna because 2 episodes in last one I was like, okay, maybe this might be going somewhere good. I think that they have the backstory of 25 years of Star Trek with established characters that they can make good stories on. Which when they have to recreate new characters is when it goes off the rails. Because if you look at last season and the first season, the only character that remains from new Star Trek on Picard is Raffi. 7 of 9 is Voyager. All the Next Gen characters. All of Data's characters, besides stupid Soong references. The blonde chick is gone. I forgot her name already.
Girardi.
Board clean now.
They dumped half of the cast. Elnor. It's literally half the cast is just gone. And here's the thing: if you watch the credits, all of the TNG people are getting guest appearance credits, so they're not getting starring credits. And look, if you watch, Beverly's been in both episodes, But a lot of her shots have just been her frozen like still form too. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like Riker, Frakes was listed as a guest star. Dorn's
Wow,
listed
he's
as
been
a
in
guest star.
he's like a main character.
But with how they're crediting everything, the new characters, the new cast is like Shaw, you know, and probably some of the other bridge officers. Probably Jack Crusher's probably a full cast, you know. Probably the villain.
Jerry Ryan a full cast member?
I believe she is.
And Patrick Stewart is a full cast member.
Yes.
I don't get Frakes should be a full cast member.
We'll see. He might be like, I'm gonna go with these guys. You guys take care of this for a bit, and he might disappear for a few episodes.
To go like get Deanna.
Exactly. We'll see what happens. But so far, if they're listed as a guest appearance, I don't really expect them to be in every episode.
That's crap, though, because I don't care about any of these new characters because they're so
Shaw.
dumbly written.
I like Shaw.
Okay, 1 out of like 20
and I like the villain.
Characters.
And I'm ignoring seasons 1 and 2. If you notice, I'm just like talking story from the old one to the new one. You know.
So those don't exist anymore, except for Picard still being a robot.
The robot base, the most basic of beats. And you can see the show's being written that you can completely ignore the first 2 seasons.
All right, so I got a question that I kind of wanted to ponder. Kind of prediction realm. So we've seen the introductions of Worf, Riker, and Crusher. Beverly, not Jack, because I don't give a shit about Jack Crusher. Honestly, like seriously,
can we call him Jean-Luc Crusher?
I don't know. Whatever.
JL Jr.
I have oh god, and I have no emotional attachment to him whatsoever.
Let's just call him Junior from now on.
Fair enough. So how do you think they're going to introduce Troy and Geordi and lore? Because we know it's not Data or assume it has to be lore.
They say it in the trailer. It's lore.
Right.
Geordi reacts and says it's lore, and now now Lord's got fat face, but you know.
Who's lore working for?
Starfleet, it looks like.
Well, sort of. Maybe.
He's in his Starfleet uniform.
Q is in a Starfleet uniform. Q is never the best friend for Starfleet.
Well, where was the last time we saw Lore? Wasn't he like disassembled and sent back to Starfleet? So they rebuilt him and they're experimenting with him or something.
But how can you even trust him?
Well, you can. It's Lore.
Like, why would you even bother reassembling a Lore?
I don't know. Maybe he's just a little maybe they're like, well, what would it take for you to help us out without being a sadistic asshole?
I don't want that though. I don't want a good Lore because then you just have Data. Lore too.
Yeah. Well, that's what they want. They want to bring back Data because Data's dead. Even though I
get that,
they should have just had B4 become new Data.
Blech. That would have been a train wreck.
They should have just had Data not die.
I agree, but I don't think he wanted to play Data anymore, which doesn't make sense.
Because now he's back. He's like, I do like money, and I need. Now that it's been 10 years, and I realize I'm not making more money, I could use more money.
I could use a check, but how do you think they'll bring in Deanna? I mean, I know they showed her in the trailer, and her line in the trailer was like, "I feel evil." You're like, well, no, that was like your whole line for 7 seasons of Star Trek.
Maybe they'll cut to her on her planet, sensing Imazadi in trouble.
I was listening to another show, and they were kind of ripping on Troy a little bit, and or it was more like Riker, how Riker's just abandoned his family on the planet or whatever, which makes zero sense either.
Well, you and I talked about it too. We were like, what the fuck is going on with Riker going on? Like, oh, they don't want me around. We're like, what'd you do? What'd you do that your wife and your daughter are like, get the fuck out of here. Leave us alone.
They said, and I want to properly credit them because I love their podcast. It's called the Picard Maneuver from Bald Move. and they said that maybe Riker or Troy and the kiddo left Riker because they were sick of his making pizzas in the forest, and they just got sick of it.
You guys want another pizza? That was so dumb. Dude, why do you have to bring up the old stuff? Don't talk about season 1 and 2. I don't want to talk season 1 and 2. It just makes me angry. Makes me mad.
Do you think they'll do a double intro between Geordi and Lore? Because it seems like they were.
Yes, they're in the same spot. They're in the same spot because Lore and Geordi reacts to seeing Lore, and the shots that we've seen. I think Geordi's at the museum, and we're going to end up seeing him as they approach for Frontier Day or whatever it is or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, I forgot about Frontier Day.
Yeah, that's still on the books, and we've seen in the trailers shots of all the ships flying together. We've seen shots with the starbase that looks like it has old ships attached to it. Have you seen anyone speculating about that?
Have they even mentioned what Frontier Day is?
It's the celebration of 250 years of warp exploration or something.
So it's like the first contact day or Zephyrin Cochrane's first flight day? Because there's a difference. They haven't,
it's neither. It's Frontier Day. It's the celebration.
Is it like the commemoration of the Federation?
Jeez, I don't know. I'll look real quick.
I'm just confused because they keep saying Frontier Day, and I don't even know what that means. There's Frontier Day. It sounds like a cowboy holiday.
I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. Was a Federation holiday celebrating Starfleet.
What, they commemorate the start of Starfleet? What does that mean?
That's just what it says. Memory House says Frontier Day was a Federation holiday celebrating Starfleet. The 2401. Well, wait, hold on. 2401 Frontier Day was billed as the 250th anniversary of Starfleet. The fleet was to disperse to conduct exercises. That it's a celebration of Starfleet. That's all we know. I don't know.
All right, I can get behind it.
Sure. Starfleet. It's
if you think about what
it's like President's Day for Starfleet.
I like it. So are we gonna? I know we're crazy jumping ahead, and this probably has nothing to do with this episode. I like talking Star Trek. What kind of ships do you think? Do you think we'll get an NX-01?
Maybe have you seen any of the speculation? So there's been speculation based on a shot of a starbase that appears to have landing pads and other ships attached to it. It looks like there's a Constitution. It looks like there's a Defiant.
Let's go.
And those are the ones that people are really kind of I think that's a Defiant. Those are the ones people have kind of picked out so far. I don't know. I know we've seen the Enterprise F in shots. So we're going to see the proper Enterprise F from Star Trek Online, which is cool.
I don't know. I never liked that one.
I like the Sovereign better, but honestly, the F is pretty good.
Well, yeah. Look, so you like Sovereign class.
Where's my F?
The captain was a part of the Sovereign class development project.
Yeah.
On my hat. I didn't like because in Enterprise they brought in the Enterprise J.
Well, that was such a bad graphic too, because if you look at it, you can tell somebody just grabbed a picture and was stretched it out because all the windows are skewed, and so I always hated that ship because it looks like it's not a real design. You know what I mean? And it's just the little point. The J is dumb. Sorry.
Anyway, so I think.
Yeah, I hate the J. I hate it.
Kind of going back to this series.
Yeah. Let's get back to episode 2. We're just randomly. Let's get back on point. We've talked. I think we've covered most everything, except near the end of the episode. Really.
What did you think of the? Did you like the Ferengi? I love the new Ferengi.
I like the Ferengi. I thought that
when they were.
It's close enough to the old designs, and it's genuine that it looks like an actual Ferengi. I could tell it was a Ferengi. He's got the pointed teeth. I like the acting.
Loads,
it's very small loads. They were small, but they're still there. They
What if
look
that was
like pierced and stuff too, and like maybe even like trimmed or something. I don't know, a little deformed.
Do you think Worf would have lopped his head off if it was Quark?
Let's see. I was like, man, Worf. I thought Worf was okay with Ferengis, but he's a gangster drug dealer who
I don't
admitted
think
to selling
Quark.
Federation tech to the guy that So, yeah.
What did you? And then did you see when they were panning up with his collection? He had a autographed baseball.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Did you notice that?
Of course.
That was
where
cool.
the fuck did he get that from?
Probably Quark.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, what's Quark doing?
It had to be Quark. Where else would Quark get a baseball other than Deep Space Nine?
I don't know.
I mean,
why else does any Ferengi? Why else would any Ferengi have a baseball?
Other than like DS9.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I was getting that actor looked really familiar. I didn't look him up, but he looked really familiar for some reason.
I thought he did good in his part.
And then I thought it was crazy when Rappy was like, that I was looking for this guy and blah blah blah, and he's like pulls his head out. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
I just
he made her shoot up just for the fun of it.
By the way, when they put Jack Crusher, JR, whatever we're gonna call him, in his
JC,
in that
JR something.
in the brig, how come they didn't take his like grappling hook watch or whatever he had? That's how he got out of the.
I thought he opened some kind of panel and was fooling around with buttons inside there too, which I thought was dumb.
I thought he was wearing a watch though.
Well, he used his watch and he was goofing around with the panel. I don't know.
I would take that from him immediately.
And I thought my thought from that was that Starfleet's brigs are garbage. These are clearly the same class of brig that was used with Burnham back in the day.
They haven't upgraded in like 300 years.
That one that flickered. Remember, she jumped through because they had the. Yeah, sorry, I don't want to talk to Discovery.
But yeah, I don't know. I think this show's going in a cool direction.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching it.
I know you don't want to talk about 1 and 2, but based on history of this particular series, it falls off the rail at some point, and I'm really, really, really hoping that they have learned their lessons and don't make the same mistakes as they did in the last couple years of this show, and really like just kind of make it the best new Star Trek season on TV. I wouldn't say series, because Picard overall 2 out of 3 seasons have been pretty terrible, and Discovery I don't even care about, and Lower Decks I've never really watched.
It's worth it. Lower Decks is worth a watch.
I guess it's like Rick and Morty with Star Trek uniforms.
There's some good Star Trek stuff in it though too, but yeah.
But
you're
I'm
not
just
wrong.
saying, like,
you're not wrong.
I'm hoping that they don't. I'm hoping they don't go off the rails. Like I can see. I feel like they're.
Here's the deal.
They're
all right. The second episode. The second episode of the second season is where it went off the rails, and we could tell there was already by that point. We were like, well, we like this, but it was like, and by the third episode, next episode is going to be a make or break. But it's got a really good setup. They got this really mean, evil, bad chick who's chasing him that I like so far. They had to go into the threat has been clearly established. They cannot go toe to toe with this ship, and they're going to make a run for it. So we'll see what happens. But so far, it's been real good. I think that they realized that their formula the last couple seasons was really bad, and I think that they're trying to be more Trek-like, and they're trying to keep it more, which is what they should be doing. If this is the type of show that we've been getting from Discovery,
totally,
I would have been 100% behind it. It's not always my favorite thing. I don't, I've mentioned several things I didn't like in this episode, but I do like this show so far, this season. I'm enjoying it. So
It
it's better
it feels like
than
it
what we
feels
got.
like Star Trek.
It does.
Um, and I know that they kind of have to pull out all the stops, and the only way it's really going to succeed is the nostalgia factor.
Hmm.
But I think they're really going about it in a good way. They're not they're the characters feel genuine to what they used to be, except for Crusher, which feels awkward. Um, I think
She's gonna
Riker,
have to have a really good explanation for
no shit.
why she ran off and didn't tell Picard he had a son.
Seriously,
You
I got
know,
to hear that.
it'll have to be a good one. Have to be good.
I think Riker has been awesome. I think he's
Yeah,
been the
Riker's
star
on
of the
point.
show.
Riker's on point.
I think Picard has been more Picard-like this season.
A little bit.
It just feels more authentically Picard.
He's a lot better than he was last season. Last season was like the murder of like Jean-Luc Picard.
I mean, we haven't really heard Worf speak, but I mean, Worf killing people is pretty Worf-like. So
yeah, I have faith. I have faith in Michael Dorn being honest to
see where
Worf.
that goes. So I mean, I think
I would say any weird predictions. Any weird predictions for the next ones? I didn't really get any vibes other than like let's go do a big chase and let's get some action going.
prediction-wise, I mean, I have no idea where to go from here. I would say, I think that Jack Crusher is more involved in weapons trading than we think. I think this crazy villainess, whatever, has to be working for some type of organization, bigger organization.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't feel like there's anything that's clearly telegraphed that I'm gonna make too much of a wild prediction on.
Yeah.
Truth is, I'm excited to tune in next week to see where we go.
I think it's kind of one of those shows you got to take especially with the history of this show. You have to take it one episode at a time.
Yeah.
And I think they're on a pretty good track, and I'm actually like for once looking forward to watching the next episode.
Yeah.
I remember last season when we were watching it, I'm like, it felt like, ugh. We have to watch.
Do we have to do this? No, I was excited to get into it, and I was not disappointed. I enjoyed tonight's episode quite a bit.
But I think I'm good on that. I think we should leave it at that. I'm excited to see what happens.
I wanted to say before we left and cut off tonight, you did show off some cool patches. I wanted to say I love your hat. It's awesome.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, let's see what you get here. You got the Sovereign. I love it. All right.
Sovereign.
And then you got an Akira. I need that one. You're gonna send me the link to pick that up, right?
Yep. I'll show you that one last. But we got
the Intrepid
class.
I like it.
And then I know it's the Bog's favorite, but the Akira class starship.
I like that one. It's pretty good.
The Akira is a badass starship, man.
I always told you I'd love to see a story set on an Akira ship. Someday. So maybe we'll get back to them making enough good Star Trek where they can justify a Star Trek movie and a couple series. Because that I would watch. I wish we had Star Trek, like two Star Trek movies a year and like 2 or 3 ongoing shows. I'd watch all of it.
If it was
good Star Trek, I would watch it, man. I love Star Trek. But
hopefully this is the season that turns it around. They've been on a losing streak for a while, so
can't all be bad.
But
on that note, thanks for tuning in, Captain. Watching the episode, man. I love chatting with you, and we will definitely have to do it again next week. And on that note, I think we can go ahead and we'll transition to the outro. Thanks for tuning in. Check out the other channels. We'll catch you soon.
Thanks for watching.
Keep on trekking.